What is up, everybody? This is Keith Jamison, go by Gator Guy 231 across the DFS industry, and so happy to be back doing another Saturday EPL preview. We haven't had a classic slate for a while, so haven't had a chance to really talk about my favorite DFS soccer content, which is Saturday EPL. But we're back. We have a good slate. Like, a lot of people might not love this type of slate, but this is my type of slate. Low scoring. I don't really have to worry about goals. Just fill up the set takers, fill up the 4 points, and let everybody else come after chasing us down with, less, I'm trying to think of the right optimal plays. So looking forward to it. Quick reminder for all of your DFS, sports betting, and just amazing content needs. Make sure you're hitting subscribe to the Mayo Media Network. Also like and comment. It really helps. And then if you're on audio, make sure you're subscribing to the Mix as well. So you can get all of this amazing content sent directly to you. And one other reminder, if you want to find more of my content, check us out. You can find me on Twitter at GatorGuy231 or my site, FSI DFS on YouTube. We have amazing content there as well. So you get some Mayo Media Network, get some FSI, and you're just off and running. All right, let's jump into the games. And before we get into the picks, we're getting to the tail end of the season. Like, understanding what teams are playing for and like what they have on the line is going to be huge in determining like a lot of these games and what's going to happen. So that specifically is important here because Brighton is one above the drop zone. They need to win versus Leeds, especially with Fulham, who's chasing them, playing Chelsea afterwards. So Brighton needs 3 points. They're at home. They're favored. Brighton is a really good spot. One of my favorite plays is going to be coming from Brighton. Chelsea in the second game. Now, they're playing Fulham, who is in the relegation battle. So Fulham desperately needs a point. Chelsea, though, are just barely holding on to fourth place in the league. On top of that, they have a tie, the second leg coming up against Real Madrid in the Champions League. So Chelsea, I think, has to rotate. But, fortunately for Chelsea, they are, outside of Manchester City, probably the deepest team in the EPL. Those transfer fees are paying off at this type of time where you're putting in some great players while other teams are having to rotate. And finally, Everton versus Villa. There's really not that much on the line there. A lot of pride. I definitely still think Everton's going to play. They have outside shot at Europa League. Villa's just kind of in the middle. Villa just wants the season end and nobody else to get hurt. So, and then with odds, let me just go over the odds real quick before we get into the picks. So we got Brighton as a plus 124. It's only 2.5 total. Chelsea, the biggest favorite on the slate, minus 200, and Everton plus 103. So let's start at the top. Honestly, I think this is more GPP play, but I give out 10 picks. 10 picks fits perfectly on the graphic. So let's talk about Anwar El Ghazi, 9,200. He should be splitting some sets for Aston Villa. He's forward eligible, which is great, on PKs. And just realistically, El Ghazi is a guy that is just super active, even if he loses sets, right? So with Barkley in, he didn't take any last week, or I think it was like one. So he's always going to have potentially a little bit of share, but he just gives you great open play value. Crosses, shoots a ton, has PKs. 9,200 is a little steep. I prefer the next two guys for my cash plays, but Anwar El Ghazi for GPP, I think, is great leverage off the next two, which is going to be the chalk. James Rodriguez, 8,900. He is on the cover. Look, Everton is playing for Europa spot. James Rodriguez is the best player on the pitch, takes half the sets. I wish he took PKs, right? But he doesn't. That's Gylfi Sigurdsson. But 8,900, he's close to double-digit floors, coming off of a bad game. But, I'm easy to forgive. I think James Rodriguez was the first guy I clicked on when I saw this late. I'm not going to overthink it. I think you're locking in double-digit floor points, and with a goal or assist, you are going off from there. Pascal Gross, I just love the spot from not only a floor perspective, he takes almost a monopoly of set pieces for Brighton, but he's also been playing like the right wing back role for them, which is even more open play value for him. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, Brighton desperately needs a win. When Brighton is trying to score, they're one of my favorite types of teams because they just cross the ball a ton. They force a lot of corners. They cross the ball in, whether it's Welbeck, Trossard, or Malpe. They just are trying to find somebody, on set pieces. They love getting Lewis Dunk forward. That's a great GPP pairing, by the way, that not many people will be on, is Pascal Gross to Lewis Dunk. But yeah, Pascal Gross, James Rodriguez were the first two in my lineup, lock and load. Next play, I could see as a last man in or just GPP, but Jack Harrison with Rafinha likely out. Jack Harrison is splitting set pieces with Calvin Phillips. He also occupies a wide area for leads on the left wing. Just as a good player. I think the price is fine. I'm not crazy about him. Like, I think he's a good play. I'll probably be mixing him to GPPs. I don't think he's going to make my cash lineup, but Jack Harrison, again, we get set piece takers here. That means we're going to have floors. And on this slate where there's no 3 totals, I think just finding guys that get a floor are going to lead you likely into the cash line. In GPPs, you're going to want to swap some of those out and look for leverage. I think Jack Harrison could be really good leverage over, like Ziyech, who I'm going to bring up here shortly, who's going to be chalk, maybe like a Barkley, or even if you had one of those 4 eligible guys, maybe swapping a Harrison in there could give you, I don't think he's going to be owned. I don't think he's going to be that owned, like less than 20%. So on a 3-game slate, that's pretty decent. All right, next play is Reece James. Look, these next couple Chelsea plays are me expecting rotation. So Cesar, I can't say it. Cesar Azpilicueta. I don't even know if it's Cesar. I always call him like Dave, but anyhow, Azpilicueta has played right wing back the last 2 weeks. I think that Tuchel prefers Azpilicueta in there for the tie against Madrid, which means he needs a rest. Reece James is a fantastic right wing back, especially for DFS. He should be on some set pieces. Mason Mount, I think, is going to get rotated out. If Mason Mount is in at 10K, you're probably playing him, but we're not going to know before the first game. I think leaving yourself a lot of flexibility is really, really key. We have Chelsea as the second game. You can still have room in the third game to swap to some Everton and Villa pieces if the Chelsea news doesn't go your way. But I think that Reece James is going to start right wing back. And if he's in, he's a lock and load for my lineup. Like my kind of core right now would be James Rodriguez, Pascal Gross, Reece James, and probably the next guy, Hakim Ziyech. I just love the price, love the player. And look, he needs to play. Like this was a huge signing in the offseason for Chelsea. He's a phenomenal player, playmaker, likes to shoot, likes to cross. Really everything we want for DFS, he does. And at 6,700, it's a deal. Hasn't been playing. He's not going to get chosen for Real Madrid, I don't think. So, I really expect that Hakim Ziyech starts this game and probably wows. I think it's a great matchup in a great spot. So I just love Hakim Ziyech. Marcos Alonso, in a similar way. Ben Chilwell is now, Tuchel's number 1 choice left wing back, which means he's probably going to get rotated. Big game versus Real Madrid. Marcos Alonso is a really good DFS player. Very dangerous on set pieces, likes to shoot, has taken some corners at times this year. So I think he's a great second defender if you have that much money to spend. If not, he's a luxury play. Ross Barkley is a revenge game for the former Everton player who actually forced himself out of Everton, got the Chelsea transfer, kind of dudded out there. I think he's on loan at Villa now. At 6,000, he plays the number 10, so a creative role, takes half the set pieces. He's a fine play. If I have like 6,000 left in my utility, lock and load Ross Barkley. I have no problem. Just make sure you're looking at your positions. It's the final game. He's by no means a must start, like that. We know he's going to be playing for Villa, so make sure you have flexibility. Olivier Giroud. Again, this is me once again predicting some rotation. I think Timo Werner desperately needs just like a mental health day after some of his mistakes lately. They've been playing Kai Havertz up there, who I love his price. If he were to start, I think I'd probably be on him. But I do think Olivier Giroud is likely to start at striker for Chelsea. He's 6,000. I think it's a GPP play. Giroud doesn't have any sort of floor. He needs a goal or assist to get there, but at 6,000, it's a great GPP spot. Finally, my favorite value play of the slate is Calvin Phillips. Calvin Phillips is like the type of guy that's actually a better real life player than DFS, but without Rafinha, Calvin Phillips' role on sets is clear. He's going to get the end swingers from the right side, swung in. In addition to that, he gets you fouls drawn, he gets you tackles, and he's cheap. So at 4,500, by far my favorite value of the slate to make a lot of these big guys and the builds work. All right, that will do it. Thank you all so much for watching. Once again, if you want to find more of my content, check me out at Twitter at GatorGuy231 and find us on YouTube at FSI DFS. Thank you all so much for watching. With that, I'll say, see you.